Next up for the double-aught buck test, Remington 870. This is our friend and cohort in the weaponry project here at Nutnfancy. Inadvertent smell. How you doing, buddy?
Good.
All right, you ready for this?
Yep.
Okay, Dudicle. Give me 5 rounds, maximum accuracy, center of mass of Mr. Bad Guy down there. He'll be at 15 yards. That's beautiful. Enjoy. I'm thinking that guy's dead. Shotguns are just so amazingly devastating. Look at the wad. There's the wad sticking in the target right there. That's a wad hit right there too. Devastating. And I was mistaken, that's not federal, that's S&B double-aught buckshot 15 yards out of the Remington 870. Looking annotation for the catalog number on that one if I can find it. Both good. I'm gonna run both of these myself, give you my takes, but I like to have Doodle and Smell weighing in on the test as well. Breaking the lid open on part 2 of my combat pump shotgun shootout, Nutnfancy. Hello, thanks for coming back, and if you're just tuning in and have not watched part 1, we are talking about 3 quintessential pump action combat shotguns, which in my estimation define the type. First up, and this is one we're talking about in detail, we'll discuss it equally amongst the other types, the Remington 870. This is the Tallow Special Edition as previously noted. Later on we'll go to the Mossberg 590A1 military shotgun, and then the ultra fast Winchester 1300 Defender, sadly discontinued. There are other pump shotguns out there. I am fully aware of that. And guys will say, well, you know, why don't you consider this? Why don't you consider that? Well, it's because these define the type, these 3 guns. And any gun you decide to get, you should compare it against these 3 and see how it stacks up. And all the talking points which we're discussing now. Okay, and then you'll decide for yourself which one, you know, is the best for you, especially for your money maybe. Charles Daly makes a pump shotgun. Don't have any experience on that one. FN makes one. And there's some other off-brands running around there. There's some Turkish ones, Turkish-made pump shotguns, which are actually pretty darn good. Hulu. Actually, do they make a pump shotgun? Not sure. Hulu's a good brand. Versan, license-built copies of other designs are out there. But we're concentrating on these 3 now. Materials is next. I'm going to say, first off, that this is kind of an area of snobbery when it comes to all guns, not just pump shotguns, but it's also prevalent when people start talking about shotguns. Let me give you an example. We're going to go right to the trigger guard of the Remington 870. A lot of guys will level a criticism. I don't like the Remington 870 because it has a plastic trigger guard. Same thing can be said for the Winchester 1300 series. Don't like it. The Mossberg 590A1 or the 590 series in total, being built to military specification 3443, has a metal trigger guard, and that's much better, right? Well, Nutnfancy's opinion is not necessarily. I have never had a plastic trigger guard on any type of gun fail me, including these ones. And I've shot pump shotguns for a long time. I think we kind of established that in part 1. Okay, so I just haven't. And they're lighter weight. I mean, one word, Glock. I mean, polymers are strong. We're not talking 1972 here when plastics pretty much sucked. We're talking, you know, advanced polymer technology. These are strong trigger guards. They save weight, they're durable, but some guys just don't like it. My friend Bucket Nuster is one of those types. He does not like plastic trigger guards. He doesn't really dig plastic on his guns. He's kind of a walnut and steel dude. That's what I kid him about all the time. I'm like, dude, if it doesn't weigh like 20 pounds and it's not made of walnut and steel, you pretty much hate it, don't you? Bucket Nuster will go, yep, pretty much. So, watch the snobbery though. Again, it's a second type of cool. If you're saying, hey, I don't like it just because I don't, you know, like it, that's a fair criticism. In other words, if it doesn't turn you on, it bugs you for whatever reason, but don't level the first type of cool at it saying it's not going to serve well. On the trigger guard, I don't think that's a fair criticism. Yeah, the 870 wears a polymer trigger guard, but I don't think it's an issue. I wouldn't even worry about it, and it lightens up the gun a little bit. The 590, as we will talk about when we get to its talking points, is a heavier gun. Do I have to start into the weight issue again? Please don't make me. How about the receiver? Well, how you doing? The receiver on the Remington 870 is made out of a solid block of steel. So take that, steel fans. If you want a steel gun, I think the 870 beats both of the other ones because its receiver is milled out of that right there. See that? Remington catalog says it very clearly. It's a solid block of solid, or single block of solid steel. And the beauty of it, of the 870, is it does not add any weight. Remember what I said in part one, the Remington 870 with a side saddle, unloaded, of course, we have that military double-aught buck riding in there now, but with a side saddle, 7 pounds, 8 ounces, without the side saddle, 7 pounds, like 4 or 5 ounces, for a steel receivered pump shotgun. Pretty excellent. All three of the guns we are going to consider in this video series have excellent barrels. Now, Remington, you might make a case, well, their barrels are proofed. I don't want to say better, they're just proofed. I think they run electrical discharge through them. They're stress relieved at 1200 degrees Fahrenheit, Remington says. Read into that, bottom line, is they're quality barrels. They're not going to fail on you. I've never heard of any. And that's why you'll see a Remington 870 rise. Next time you see a police car, here we go, with a little detour, which I love doing. Next time you see a police car in your city, you walk up to it and just peer in and see if you see a Remington 870 riding in the rack. If you do, you will probably see a really beat up 870. I have seen departmental guns dating back, way back, to the 1970s, and for whatever reason, they're kept up by their armorers. In other words, the parts are swapped out, but a lot of times they just beat the stock up. They never replace the stock. You know, the finish on the gun it's worn. You know, they don't care. They just wear it. I think it looks cool. Looks Boba Fett cool. Just worn, beat up. Looks like it's been in a war. A lot of PD shotguns, 870s, are just like that. But my point is, those barrels are still functioning just fine. As a whole, the 870 has outstanding materials in it. You know, if you don't like the plastic trigger guard, get over it. The rest, where it's, you know, critically and functionally important, is extremely strong. You know, the receiver we talked about, the barrels, the magazine extensions. You got double traction bars. All these guns do, and that's like the standard on any quality pump shotgun, is double bars on your pump. Some guys will level criticism at this. Remington 870 only has a single extractor, okay, versus maybe the 590 Mossberg has 2. Interesting, but look inside there, and I don't have my flashlight with me, I apologize. Look how big that extractor is on the 870. You with me, dudes? Look at that. It is a claw. The 870 single extractor, I think, is large enough, strong enough to function just fine. The gun is freaking tough. And it gets back to the materials they use. If it were not so, I guarantee you PDs in the United States of America would have quit using this gun a long time ago. They need something that works, that's cost effective. And cost effective means they don't have to keep rebuying it, replacing it, repairing it. You with me? It just works. So that's the Remington 870. Outstanding track record. Again, jumping ahead in the talking points a bit. Materials on this gun are outstanding. The stock. What if I find a used Remington 870 Nutnfancy and it has a wooden stock? Is that okay? You bet it's okay. It'll be just fine. In fact, if you can find a used, thrashed Remington 870, get it for a good deal. I say bring it home, watch my Duracoating videos, which I'll try to annotate right there for you, a couple of them. Duracoat that sucker. Take it apart, you know, sand it with 400 grit sandpaper, steel wool it, shoot the crap out of it with your favorite color of Duracoat from Lauer Weaponry. Tell them Nutnfancy sent you. I need to work a discount for you guys there. That's why I always tell them, say Nutnfancy sent you. It's so down the road, or actually right now, I can say, hey, you know what? Give my viewers a 10%, 20% discount. That's where we're going with this project, dudes. You know, I send them business. I want them to treat my viewers well. I want them to give them some money off. My object here is to be a buyer's advocate for you, a consumer's advocate. That's right. That's my mission in life, one of them. Yeah, you buy that thrashed 870, buy it. Tear it apart. If you want, you can take the stocks off and replace them. Or assuming you bought a wooden version of the 870, older style. Let's see if we can find a picture of one. Here's one. You know, refinish it. You could paint it, you could Duracoat it, or you could just restore it just like these guns are. No problem. A wood stock on a pump shotgun is just fine. Yeah, I have a preference for synthetic because, as you've seen, sometimes I'm out in the snow, the rain, the wind, and I'm always planning on Mr. Murphy rolling in and doing a number on old Nutnfancy while I'm shooting, just like he's done while I've been hunting through the years. The absolute worst weather rolls in. Next thing I know, my gun is soaking wet, dropped in the mud or in the swamp. Yes, I've done that. And yeah, I like a synthetic stock, but for a defensive shotgun, yeah, it will not, you know, break the deal for me. Size and weight. I love the size of this Tallow 870, and this again is just like the Express Tactical. And by the way, that Express Tactical, I think I may have kind of jacked it up a little bit in part one. It's wearing, as of 2009, that kind of goofy, hammered gray finish. And again, this is me, second type of cool. I'm not real fond of it. You guys may dig it. But the size and weight on this gun are excellent. Again, 7 pounds 4 ounces without side saddle. Very lightweight. This is an 18.5 inch barrel. It makes it fast into action. You know, it depends. How mobile do you want to be? If you're going to go trucking with your shotgun in a WROL situation mile after mile, maybe you're on a neighborhood patrol. That's right, neighborhood patrol, keeping your neighborhood safe after a Katrina style of incident. You know, seriously, I want a gun that's comfortable to carry. Notice on this one, wearing a single point sling. By the way, that is a plate adapter. I'll try to find out where I got that. That's a plate adapter that screws in between the receiver and the stock, and it allows mounting of the single point sling. But this, my kind of cutoff to go single point sling is about 7 pounds. Once you go over 7 pounds, and this is slightly over, I recognize that, especially loaded, it's kind of burdensome, honestly. So I'm kind of testing it on the 870 fully loaded, and I'll get back to you. Maybe I won't on that, but that's just kind of a practice deal in the Nutnfancy project. Those magazine-fed shotguns, though, no way I would do that. You're going to need a 2-point sling. Generally speaking, to be honest, I don't have any experience yet in the Sega shotgun type. Maybe later on we'll acquire one. We'll go ahead and do some running and gunning with it, evaluation with a Nutnfancy crew, myself, and we'll get back to you on it. But that's kind of where I'm at now. Remember, I'm always subject to change as I get new information, as I learn from you guys and other people that, you know, I can trust. So size and weight, outstanding. Overall length, when you talk about barrels, is a consideration. You know, do you want to go that Mossberg 590 here in the background? Great shotgun, wearing a 20-inch barrel. Yeah, you get 8+1 as a magazine capacity, but you're going to gain a little bit overall length. Some guys will say, well, slam some pistol grips on there and it'll still be a legal shotgun. Yeah, you can do that. I'll talk about more of that in the accessories, but you're going to get your most accuracy, speed of fire, you know, on target repeatability with a full stock just like you're seeing here. Overall lengths before we leave, size and weight, 39 inches for this synthetic stock Remington 870 Express Tactical. That's pretty short, pretty quick into action. That's again a 6+1 18.5 inch barrel, and 6+1 for the round capacity. This one here is the Remington 870 wearing that Knox Spec Ops recoil reduction stock in its retracted position. This also is 39 inches, thereabouts. And that's a 3-round factory extension on the magazine tube. So that's pretty cool. Same overall length, and you still have an extra round. That Remington, or I'm sorry, the Mossberg 590 there in the background, 20-inch barrel. That's a 9-shot shotgun. That's 8+1, 41 inches overall length. Again, I'm saying that those extra rounds are going to give you about 2 extra inches without a, you know, a retractable stock. Size and weight, keep it light, keep it fast. Opt for the mobility side of the equation, dudes. You want your shotgun to be fast into action. I'm not saying the semi-autos aren't. You'll see me review those too. Those things are fast too. And then we may do some high cap ones. Depending, we'll see. Patterning and choke. One reason it took me so long to do this series is this. I wanted to pattern all the guns I had on loan and my own to make sure that I was remembering it right. I mean, I've been shooting these for a long time. I think we talked about that in part 1. But I really wasn't keeping this type of detailed records I do now for the Nutnfancy project, especially knowing that I have to show them to you guys for evidence. Kind of like this one. 15 yards, double-aught buckshot, shot up in the aspens at high altitude like you saw with Inadvertent Smell, Tactical Doodle, my son, and that's from this gun right here. Federal, no, this is actually S&B, Seller and Bellet, double-aught buckshot, 15 yards. Ouch! Wow, that's devastating. Again, this is probably operator error here. You should be able to get at 15 yards, even with a cylinder bore, improved cylinder bore, all your all your pellets within the kill zone or thereabouts. The downside, and maybe I didn't mention this yet, of a shot load like double-aught buckshot, whatever variety you choose, is you're responsible for that pellet. That one too. So bad guy here, good guys behind. You better be careful. That can kill somebody. 33 caliber bullet is basically what that is. Each of these is. And all it takes is one stray round to an innocent bystander behind the bad guy, and you have a very bad situation. PDs contend with this all the time. They train for this all the time, teaching their officers, do not take the shot, especially with your cruiser shotgun, unless you know you can make it look like this, and maybe avoiding some of those. Overall, I will say the patterning capability of the cylinder board Remington 870 or improved cylinder version, they have both, I think most of them are improved cylinder, is excellent. They pattern tight enough, and they throw it nicely. Newbies, when I'm talking about patterning and choke constrictions, what we're talking about is a tapering at the muzzle, a very slight tapering or constriction, if you will. What it does is it constrains the shot as it exits the barrel, and therefore you can maybe control to some degree the tightness of the pattern when it strikes the target. Keeping in mind that the shotgun is still a short range weapon, to me at 25 yards, 25 meters or less, your patterning can make a difference. If I had an option, I would like a removable choke on my shotgun, even my defensive shotgun, because it gives me options. Again, going back to the Remington 2009 catalog, you can see that extended Remington choke system, as shown on the Desert Recon there, the Express Tactical wears it. That's a Remington choke. Now, you could probably put sporting chokes in there. Maybe you could change it to modified, full, extra full, and experiment with them. And it will take experimentation to figure out what that choke would do to the constriction on your throw. Every shotgun's going to be different, and it will treat loads differently. So you're going to have to go out in your desert, your patch of woods, and you're probably going to need that. I don't know of any ranges that like you shooting all these pellets up at the range, and figure out where your loads are. Most defensive shotguns come with what's called a cylinder bore, meaning that it has no constriction at all. All it is a completely straight-walled tube, with the thought being you want kind of a wider dispersion, knowing that it's going to be a defensive shotgun within its range of 25 meters, 25 yards. That's acceptable and actually preferred, that we have a bigger pattern. Now, they improve that with what's called an improved cylinder bore, which also has the added benefit of throwing slugs a little bit better, in my opinion. I think every 870 on this table is wearing an IC choke, improved cylinder. If I'm wrong, I'll annotate it. And they work fine. It is not a showstopper if your shotgun, your Remington 870, does not have a screw-in choke. A cylinder or improved cylinder bore will be adequate for your purposes. Heaven forbid, you know I always say that, but if you were to engage Mr. Bad Guy with this thing, I can pretty much guarantee you it will be at close range within 25 yards. and this constriction will be just fine. So patterning and choke for the Remington 870 tactical shotguns is just fine. I've got no problems with it. If I can take it, like I've mentioned before, I'll take the screw-in choke system, because that way maybe from 25 yards I can reach out and touch someone at 40 yards with a full choke system. Again, after doing my load experimentation on my own to make sure that's indeed where my shotgun will shoot with that particular choke that I've chosen. How about the ergonomics on the shotgun? Here comes some controversy according to some. And unlike the merit or lack of merit on the plastic trigger guard, I think this does have some weight to it. Criticizing the 870 for ergonomics. I'm going to start off with this. Jumping ahead in talking points. If you put a side saddle on your Remington 870, dudes, this is a huge ergonomic problem. Do you see that hex nut sticking out there, which was used to attach the side saddle? Does that look like it's near something else that might be important for the function of this gun? Maybe the safety? Yeah, that's something to consider. By the way, safety checked as always. Yeah, so in the heat of the battle, can you see yourself coming up here and pushing this hex nut and thinking under stress that that's your safety? What's wrong with this thing? So you hit that and then you go to shoot your gun, nothing. Big problem in my estimation. These two buttons are right beside each other. I've never heard anyone discuss that, but it could be the difference between life and death. And don't laugh. You guys say, oh, that never happened. Well, you need to get out and shoot more if you think it'll never happen. I've seen it, all kinds of funny stuff on our running guns of guys, even in a running gun, just getting their heart rate up a little bit, stressing. Okay, some guys discounting the placement of the side saddle. Some people just don't like the placement of the safety button on the Remington 870 at the rearmost portion of the trigger guard. I agree with that. I think that is an absolutely solid criticism against 870. Here's why. Because you're in your shooting format, finger alongside the trigger guard. You go to disengage. Where's your trigger finger normally? Now again, my hands are kind of on the large side, but right here. I would really like the button to be right here, like on, I believe the Winchester 1300s is right there. Nope, you got to come all the way back to take the safety out of battery and then come forward again to engage with the Remington 870. That will take training, it will take practice, and it's not ideal. By way of contrast, the Mossberg 590 probably has the best safety of all, and it's up here on the upper tank. Tactical Doodle absolutely loves it. And it totally mitigates this whole side saddle safety bolt problem we're talking about. The slide release, both on the 590 and the 870, are right here in the forwardmost portion of the trigger guard. That's a long reach for a lot of dudes and dudettes. Okay, again, we're engaging. We have to do whatever, maybe extract a shell from the chamber, maybe cycle them all the way through. Okay, that could be a player, and we have to do a long reach all the way to the forward portion of the trigger guard now, depress the release, and now we can actuate it. For me, it's not a big deal because, again, my hands are smaller. For a lot of operators, it's an issue. And it's an issue for everyone in the sense that you're coming out of battery, in other words, the engagement position to do it. Even I can't just reach over and get that since it's on the left side of the trigger guard. Okay, I've got to come reach out and just take my hand out of the firing position to actuate it. See that? The Winchester 1300 and the Mossberg slide release is right here. Much more convenient. So, couple big ergonomic hits on the 870. Others will rightly criticize the position of the shell lifter on the Remington 870. That's this portion right here. Sometimes they'll say you can get fabric caught in there, fingers caught, and it's just kind of an obstruction to the loading process. What that shell lifter does, and we'll use a Zoom 12 gauge snap cap to demonstrate this. By the way, you should get these and practice with your shotgun on them. As you can see, we do in the Nutnfancy project a lot. Saves ammo. But as we push past that, it kind of forms a little bit of a barrier. As you can see, I let go of that and it just pops that shell out. A little bit of a barrier to the loading process. Jacking a shell in functions as a shell lifter. It'll pop that shell up, help, you can see it right there, help assist the insertion, I'm at a weird angle here, into the chamber. I don't think it's a huge deal myself. Compared to the Mossberg 590 series, it is inferior in the way that the 590 doesn't have it in the way at all. The shell lifter is completely flush until it comes out of battery during the load cycle. I like that. My son Tactical Doodle loves this. There's nothing here. You just drop a shell and push it. Drop, push, drop, push. There's no gate to push past on the 590. So in my estimation, when we talk about ergonomically, keeping it real, and you know Nutnfancy keeps it real, that's a better system than this. But this isn't a showstopper. Maybe it's because I've trained on it so long. You know, I've done a lot of training with it, and it just isn't a factor if you, I don't know, used to it. You just know that, hey, I got to insert a shell, sorry I'm knocking everything around, a shell, and kind of insert it with some force pass there. Okay, on to other ergonomic considerations on the 870. I love this stock forend. It's probably my favorite that Remington has put on for a long time. I call it a cob forend because it's kind of like a corn cob, but it just rocks. Good traction on there. It's narrow in profile. It's not bulky. Now, some other previous versions of the Remington 870 wore this style of stock, the long one, which you'll see on the Nova Benellis, or Benelli Novas, and other style of shotguns. I don't like it. I don't see any reason at all in a tactical shotgun why that forearm should come past and obstruct the loading gate. It's asinine. Moreover, it created a project for me on this particular gun that I did for its owner, and that is, and some guys say, we have to put a new forend on there to run a side saddle on it. No, you don't. You guys have probably been looking at this already. You mill it out. I cut it with a friggin' hacksaw and sanded it. And I made it fit exactly the contour of that side saddle. Didn't have to buy anything. But this provides good traction, but it's a little bit more bulbous. You see, kind of like a hunting shotgun. So kudos to Remington for putting this style on their guns now. Much, much improved. Ergonomics overall, as far as the cheek weld, I kind of talked to that already. The stock, the controls we've discussed. Overall, pretty darn good on the 870. And that'll bring us on to the sling options. I kind of already discussed this. I think I did. I forget. Sometimes I do takes and get mixed up. It's designed to do a 2-point sling, traditional hunter style of carry, which you can do. I always prefer a more tactical option, submachine gun style, meaning that I'm running my slings topside. I can get my gun into action quicker, as you've seen in the Nutnfancy project. Or, as you can see here, running it single point sling style. To be truthful, kind of on the heavy side for that, but I'm still trying it, running it, experimenting with it, and learning from it. So, doesn't come with a sling, but at least you have provisions for it. By the way, in this stock, it's kind of a narrow hole right there, so you're gonna have to get a very narrow sling swivel that will fit in there. Well, I gotta run. I gotta hurry. So that's the stocks. We've talked about the loading, talked about the ergonomics. On to accessories, and man, it just gets better for the 870. Because like a Glock, like a SIG, it is such a tremendously successful design. The Remington 870 has just a plethora of accessories out here. Here we are in the 2009 Natchez Master Catalog. There's their website. You see them annotated on my channel page. Good prices, good service, good folks down there at Natchez. Love them. And generally they have some really smoking sales. Always tell them Nutnfancy sent you for the same reasons. But for their 870, you'll see all kinds of accessories. There are some pistol grip stocks, which I'll talk about in a different segment. I generally do not recommend them. They recoil pretty darn hard, and they'll really make your hands numb. There's some Tacstar magazine extensions, barrel magazine clamps, all for the 870. You'll see them also for the other guns we're talking about, the Mossberg, the Winchesters. Generally, also I do see fewer for the Winchester now that it is out of production. There's some lights, barrels, carry cases. You'll see the same thing at Cabela's, maybe cheaper than dirt. Other places will have a ton of accessories for the 870. How about the heat shield? Not needed. For the second type of cool, you want an intimidating looking gun, okay, go ahead and get it. But as far as functionality, waste of time. Heat shield on a shotgun is ridiculous. You're not going to be shooting it that much and that fast where it's going to be so hot that you're going to burn your hands off. So there's some, always keep in mind, there's some accessories that are kind of mandatory. You're looking at one right there. The side saddle. I I put them on all my tactical shotguns because it's a great way to, you know, practice with and get 6 rounds in the pipe pretty quick. Yeah, it's adding a little bit of weight, adding width, and we discussed that ergonomics problem, but I still assess that it's worth it. Side saddle, great accessory. Something I do that doesn't cost anything is I wrap electrical tape around my recoil pad. By the way, Remington runs an R3 recoil pad here. In other words, it's a very absorbent rubber / polymer material, and I will tell you it works pretty darn good, and they're improving it all the time. So great pad. However, it's very sticky on the side, so unless you wrap it as you're seeing here, you're gonna have it grip your clothing and kind of screw you up. Always wrap it. You'll see all of my tactical guns, shotgun, centerfire, whatever, if they wear one of these, they're gonna be wrapped just like so. Lots of accessories. It already wears a orange shell follower from Remington. That's a great option. But barrels, you know, you can put different sights on. I'm pretty happy with the bead sight, so on the Remington 870. I function well with them. Ghost ring, if you want them, put them on. Practice with them. Tritium sights available. You know, also, some are drilled and tapped. Not this one, but that one isn't either. Some Remingtons, I think, are tapped. Maybe it's the sporting varieties, and you can put a rail on the top of it. So tons of accessories. The value going on, I gotta hurry up and finish this. The value of the 870 is smoking. It's just smoking. For what you're getting, it's just amazing. Again, in the used market, you can pick up a Remington 870 for around 200, maybe less. Remember, don't shy away if it's thrashed. You can rebuild it, refinish it really easy. The parts are high quality, made of steel. They don't wear out. And all you'll have is some aesthetics problems that you can quickly cure. Let's say you buy one new, $300. It's a pump shotgun that will last the rest of your life. It's got a few downsides. We've discussed that. But overall, the Remington 870 remains a yardstick in the combat pump shotgun arena for good reason. That's why you see it in your police cruiser racks. The durability and track record of the 870, in my estimation, unsurpassed. Yes, fans of other types, I know that there's some other good track records being amassed, but this gun goes way back to the 1950s. And I'm not just talking combat shotguns here, I'm talking overall hunting and sporting use. And we can say that because it's the same action, right? It's the same exact action, same exact style of receiver, and it just sells and sells. 10 million sold? Enough said. Track record, 870 wins, hands down. Durability, I think it's on par with any other shotgun you want to throw at it. Even with a plastic trigger guard. I love the Remington 870. It is a totally awesome shotgun. It will get the job done if you can train and be proficient with it. Woo! There's part 2, combat shotgun shootout Nutnfancy. When I get the time, I'll slam that part 3 together. I gotta sign off. Thanks so much for the ratings, for the supports. Check in part 3 out. Go, go, go. This is the Gauntlet Inadvertent Smell running the Remington 870. Light them up! Boom! Yeah! Get up, dude. Get in every shot. Nice. Oh, you out? Yep. .598, the 870, Winchester 1300. They are all excellent guns. Hit, 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 hit. Go, 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 go. Alley, no.